Hey everybody, welcome to the Dice Tower. It is Monday night. Today is July 20th as we continue the longest year ever. So with me today is Jorge Garcia. You may have recognized him. He has shown up occasionally on many people's, I was about to say television sets, but I don't know if that's a thing anymore. Your screens.
Well, I'm sure sets are still part of it too.
Yeah, it is. It's just, it's a weird thing. I mean, I realize sometimes how old I am when I talk to my kids about such things. You know, when we talk about channels, and that makes the word channel means nothing to them.
Yeah, I still like to say record. When someone's, oh, he put out a new record this year. I still like, it's just kind of, just there's a comfort in still saying that.
Yeah, I guess. Well, he also plays board games a lot. We know this because he emailed me way back when, and we mocked him on the podcast, not knowing who he was, of course, because we believe in equal opportunity mocking. About what was it? Because you taught a game wrong or something?
No, it was the Dead of Winter story where one of my characters was the pirate, and I at the end of the game, I made my final pirate move so that one person wouldn't satisfy their win conditions.
Very. Have you? Yes. So you're a good person. Have you played the new Forgotten?
I'm a great person, but that was part of the game, and it was also kind of. I mean, you had to have gone through the game to kind of. It built to that moment, I would say, but it's the game.
Well, that's the reason some people don't like that game, because you can do things like that.
Yeah, what I've come to find now, just because of the sheer number of games that I mean, I know this happens to everybody, but after you play a certain amount of games for a certain amount of time, what you want to do in a game changes. Like, I'm not as obsessed about winning a game as I used to be. Me, it's all about the experience of just sitting at a table with people. And so if I win, it's cool. If I lose, it's fine. And it doesn't. I used to like get competitive, where you kind of almost feel like your temperature go up a little bit when you're like really trying to get the better of a situation. And it's just not like that anymore for me. Now it's just this really kind of fun. I mean, I still play to win, but it's just like this. It's like, I don't put anything really on it.
Yeah, how do you? I think most people do that as they get older. I would hope. Maybe competition is more
there's
of a
still people
youthful thing.
I don't know. There's still people in my group that are like, there's like the one that's always looking for the loophole in the rule, like the thing
Yes.
It's not specifically said in the rules. So can I do this? And they're always trying to find that loophole.
Yeah, my response to that is always, it doesn't say in the rules that everyone at the table can't punch you in the face, but we automatically assume that that's not something we should do, therefore. But those people are really good for play testing of games.
Oh, sure.
Because you wouldn't think of this, and they do so.
Oh, find it, yeah.
Have you played the new Forgotten Waters from Plaid Hat?
I have not. It's on my games approved list. Like, there's the list of games of whenever I go on my shopping sprees, these are the games I've approved to add to the collection. And
well, I think you'd like that one, if only because the story is that strong. And so I tend to like a game with a stronger storyline. In fact, I can't say too tremendously much about it, but I'm currently playing through Pandemic Legacy Season 0.
Great.
And the storyline is really strong in that one also.
Great. Yeah, Season 1 is still perhaps the most legendary gaming experience I've ever had.
Have you played Season 2?
Yeah. But
so one was better than 2?
For me, yeah.
You should play 0. 0 takes place before 1.
Yeah, that's great. I like that idea a lot. And yeah, because it's very much also because when you have other friends who had other game groups that were playing Season 1, and were in different places in the game at different times where you could then just say to them, March.
Yeah,
March!
I always tell people September, and then someone gets mad
September.
every time.
Yeah. It's every 3 months was a thing. And I was just like, the whole journey, and I was so impressed that they basically put act breaks into it. Yeah, it was just really well crafted.
All right, well, I better shut up, or I'll get in trouble. All right, so what are some of your favorite games? Asked Cora Lou.
Well, I've always been a fan of all-time Dixit. It's always a game I'll break out with any group, and I'm always buying the new cards just to kind of so there's something new for me to look at in it. I'm always a big fan of that. The and then I like a lot of those kind of asymmetrical where one person's trying to communicate to the group without the usual things or tools, essentially, but whole new tools to do it.
So like a game with less communication, then kind of like the Mind.
The mind is fun. It's definitely just activity, but it can have epic win moments in it that I do like. Like there was a moment. I have a photograph where we took where someone laid basically two numbers back to back, just at the same time, and they landed in the right order.
Yeah, that is a good feeling.
We had to be like, hang on, we had to take a picture of the pile for a second. I like that. I don't know. I just got a copy of Inhuman Conditions, and it creates I like the mood it creates a lot. I thought the way they kind of set it up is a lot of fun.
I don't think I've played this one.
It's a 2-player social deduction, basically.
It says it's only 5 minutes long. Is that true?
Well, a session it isn't quite 5 minutes. I mean, there's a little bit of setup, but so it's like a Turing test game where one person's interviewing the other person, and you're trying to determine if they are a robot. Essentially, they're either human, a patient robot, or a violent robot. And they have to, and if they're assigned a human, they can be normal. If they're a robot, they have to pretend to be normal, but there's certain things that kind of make the robot go a little bit on the fritz, or conditions that the robot has to fulfill where they can rise up and kill the human interviewer. And the whole process of the interview is only 5 minutes long. There's a little setup between, like at the beginning, to kind of choose the module that you're going to play. But it's a pretty quick game, yeah. But you play it more than once. You switch sides and keep playing. It's not like a one and done game.
Huh.
And it's only 2 players, so I can just play with my wife.
That is interesting. I'll have to check that one out some point. All right, let's see. Someone says, what is your most prized piece of, I'm assuming this word should be memorabilia.
My most prized piece of memorabilia. From
something
jobs?
Something you stole, maybe. I don't know.
From work?
I guess.
I have on Lost, there were 2 scenes where Hurley was in a mental institution, and he's doing watercolor paintings. And yes. I was able to get those 2 paintings from the props department, and they're actually hanging in my guest room.
That's pretty neat. I've always found that to be interesting. I mean, I wonder. Okay, so I don't have any experience with Hollywood, but here's my experience with churches. When I'm at a church, there's always all these props that are made for various VBS, Vacation Bible Schools, and things, and they always stick them in a room, and they'll say, someday we'll use those again. And 99.9% of the time, never touched. Never come across. Is that the same thing, or do props get reused?
I think now they store a lot more than they used to. In back in like old Hollywood, they would toss things all the time. Like that's part of why older props, are so much more valuable because so much was thrown away. Lost, as we were coming to a close, they had already set up the fact that there was going to be an auction of props and wardrobe and stuff from the show after the show ended. So they were already kind of being like controlling that no props got out and that kind of thing because these are all things to make money later. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they necessarily, but there's also things that get put in storage that they don't know if later there's going to be a reason to display them as part of a museum situation or something. That happens as well.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There was like a paleo. There was like there's a museum opened up of television in Beverly Hills, and they had then set up a bunch of things like the West Wing podium with a bunch of props and stuff that were pouring around it, or like the booth from Seinfeld and the couch from Central Perk on Friends, and they had all these things set up. So things get kind of tagged and stored a lot.
So, like, do you ever come across them? You see the prop and like you're impressed that you've seen something that you never thought you would?
No. Well, what I have done is sometimes when I've gone through wardrobe and they've gotten wardrobe from studios where you could see the pants you're trying on, I'll have like a label with like some other actor's name on it, and somebody's like, "Oh, look at this! George Wendt wore these pants." And like things like that.
Write that down in a journal today.
And there's also a thrift shop in Burbank that they get a lot of old wardrobe, and they're really fun to go to around Halloween because they break out the really weird clothes, like stuff from like sci-fi series, and just like so there'd be like the weirdest looking pants or cloak things, and I'll always like go through there and kind of they'll have like little tags on them. And then a little legend where you can see like what show or movie they came from, and yeah, that's if you might be able to find stuff like that as well.
Well, someone asked earlier, what got you into board games in the first place?
In the first place, like when I was a little kid. I mean,
let's jump to where it became a hobby,
as an adult hobby. I think it was hearing about Catan a long time ago when it was still called Settlers of, and a lot talk about that. I always liked subscribing to Games Magazine.
Yes.
And it wasn't much as far as board games information as it was like, thing of crossword puzzles and but they'd always have like little reviews for certain things. And when they put out like 100 best board games list, I kind of looked at that, and that just kind of became my primer. So I just started like collecting everything on that list because I want to at least try everything on it. And at that time that list came out, Settlers of Catan was like one of the newest games on that list, and so that's probably where it started. Yeah, I mean that was an old copy of that magazine.
Speaking of that, they just announced the newest Spielers Yaras winner today.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, Pictures, the party game that I gave a 5 out of 10 won. So you can see I'm certainly in line with the judges. And the crew won the Kennerspiel, which doesn't surprise me.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I actually just ordered it not that long ago. It's en route. So I'm glad I got in before the demands just shot up probably.
Yeah, that's true.
I had this really great opportunity. Rich Summer had done an auction of to play games with him, and they're like two. They ended up like doing like 2 winners for it, and there is one person who came in and played was one of the judges or the head judge maybe at one point for Spiel, and he brought a bunch of games that were these are the kind of these games are currently in the running for Spielers Yaras. This is the year of Libertalia and the one where is the bingo game where you say Ave Caesar.
Ah, what you mean? Augustus, Rise of
Augustus.
Augustus.
And so it
Was this Tom Felber? Do you remember? Was that his name?
Is he bald?
Yes.
Maybe.
He's quite bald, very friendly, and always brings a pile of games.
Super friendly, super nice, and we played a bunch of games at Rach's house, and it was fun. It was really great. Maybe Linko was one of the games.
That sounds.
Is Linko the card game with the foxes?
There's a lot of games with foxes in them.
It's a little green box, and then like the pictures are foxes. I was like, I'm not in the area where my games are, so I can't like look over on the shelf and be like, oh, it's this.
Linko is a green. Oh, there's a lot of games called Linko. That's it's. All right, I'll hunt it down as time goes by. There's some games with Link. Yeah, Tom actually visited me in Korea 15 years ago and did the same thing. Brought a pile of games. It was he's a really nice guy. He's actually retired now. He's no longer on the Spielers Yaras committee, which makes me assume that's why they picked pictures this year. Nick says,
"Yeah, I haven't been fully in line with their pick. Camel Up didn't quite do it for me either. It didn't have. I don't know. A lot of people love it.
It did it for me, but I'm coming around on it. I really like it. I don't know what it was. The new edition helped a lot.
For me, I was like, all right, we did, and then it ended, and it just if for a racing game, it kind of felt like it ended with a, it didn't have some. I just didn't get the build on the end of it, but I don't know. That's just my experience.
Nick says he hears a lot of gamers say they have a tiny little game that they keep with them when out and about. Do you have such a game? And have you ever played with a complete stranger?
Well, let me answer that one first. Play with a complete stranger. I was doing a movie in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And so when I'm in a town that I haven't been to, I always kind of see if there is a local game shop or if there is some other local game group or if there's something that's basically public that anyone can come to. And there was real close to my hotel, like walking distance, a small comic/game shop, and they had a little game. They had like a game night once a week, and I was able to go there a couple times. And the first time I was there, the person who was filling in for the host that day, he was like, well, looks like everyone's got games going. Do you want to try? And he introduced me to, I think we played Race for the Galaxy. And it was, he just swamped me because he knew the cards. He knew what they would do.
Right.
And I was just like, I don't know, let's see what happens when I play this one. And I'm just kind of feeling my way through, and he just destroyed me. There's another time I was in Halifax, and they had a game shop there. That was actually a game cafe. And I think it's called the Boardroom. And I kind of went, and I was kind of like shopping a little bit, and I was kind of looking what was back there, and they had it was this little area where you could go out and play, but I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know anybody. I don't know, and I think there was a thing that was like, but you could get into there, like you paid to go to the cafe part, or if you bought a game, that you'd be included in the entry of the thing, and there was a group there that were game designers, and they would meet up. and they would bring their little games or iterations of the games after they've been working on them and take it away and come back, and they would just sit there and play each other's games. And the guy was working at the game cafe. He introduced me to that group, and I just kind of sat down with them, and we tried their games out. We played a little bit of that, and then at the end, we played. After we tried everyone else's games, we actually grabbed like a board game and we played. Oh man,
I'm wondering if any of those prototypes you played became games.
nothing that I remember. Some had some really complicated rules. And some people weren't. We didn't even play them. They were just kind of showing up. And then here's the thing, and I designed this. They're just kind of showing off like some of the artwork that they did for it. And Red Dragon Inn was what we ended up playing later.
That game is on its like, I don't know, 12th version of it at this point.
Yeah, when they put out that really big box, I was going because I already had the little individual ones. It just kind of became just because how it can scale up so easily. And everyone kind of has the same set of cards, but just thematically slightly different. But it was kind of fun, a game that's between fighting and getting drunk. And so you either get too drunk or you lose your money. And then the premise was cute. It was pretty fun. It sold me the game.
I guess I'll ask the question we'll always get asked on such
Oh
things
wait,
like
oh
this.
wait. The other question.
Oh,
was,
the little game you carry around.
If
That's
there's
right.
games that carry on me, there was a period of time in acting class where we at the end of class we would go to a bar and have a couple drinks after class, and I just started carrying games in my bag. I bring out the game.
That's a good
Spiel
one.
so lange du kannst, and Skull. Those are kind of my go-to, or Cockroach Poker. Just games that you can play basically at a bar table pretty easily. Love Letter's another one of those. Just and the fact I like games that come in small boxes for that reason, just because they travel so well.
Today I got a package from Button Shy Games. They make all those little wallet games.
The little wallets, yeah.
So I figured I might as well grab a couple of those. I was telling the guys, it's funny to me because they're over off the side here, but these little games, so 4 of them cost, I don't know, somewhere between $10-15 a pop, right? So let's say they're $15. 4 of those are $60, the same cost as Blood Rage. And it's interesting, the smaller a game is, the less people have a problem with paying more money per card.
Yeah. Well, there is, I think, an accepted minimum price that you have. One, I gotta pay at least this for. I mean, there's a lot of really small box games that are $15, and it doesn't for just the amount of volume seems small for sure. But
it's just funny to me because people will pay $10 for a few promo things, and then when they back a Kickstarter from Come On, that comes with 200 million miniatures, and it has one less miniature than they think they should get, they argue for a long time that they're not getting a good value. I just find it interesting how when something gets bigger, the amount of money I'm willing to pay for it gets smaller.
Yes, I don't know. That's a good point.
All right, well, someone's always going to ask this sort of question. Should there be a board game based on Lost? But hey, there is one at least. One.
There was, yeah.
I'm sure it was amazing. I have not played it. It's ranked 19,118 on Board Game Geek. It's called Lost the Game. And you need to... It's like Settlers Catan? I don't know. Have you played it?
I haven't, but I haven't played it.
I'm sure you've been given it as a gift more than once.
I know the basic premise was that it's kind of thing that starts with hexes that are flipped downward, and you explore as you go and reveal things on it. But I never had it. Had a sit-down game with it.
It is quite poorly rated here. That would be kind of weird, I think, to play a game like that. To play a game of something that you were part of. Like to play yourself as a playing piece, would that be weird or? Or would you just refuse to do it?
I would probably choose to play somebody else.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting.
I don't think any of the cast are actually a piece in the game. I think the people in the game are someone else, and then you might run into us along the way. But again, I'm not.
That way you can't change what has happened or what will happen, I guess. But you know what? With all the IPs being picked up these days, I mean, everything is being made into a board game. Maybe that would happen someday by a good game publisher. And then you would be asked to play it all the time. All right, someone wants to know what your favorite solo game is.
Solo? Slay the Spire on my iPad.
Okay, I just played that for the first time last week because people kept telling me it was really good. And I've spent a good chunk of my weekend playing this game. I can't believe
how much I sit there, and then if we're I can be watched, I go in and grab my iPad and set it up and just start going, and then it's just my wife seeing me on the couch going, damn it, got killed again. And just restart, try it again, and I'm on the 4th character trying to get through the 3 levels.
So which of the 4 characters is your favorite?
So far, the green one that poisons people.
Yeah, I think I agree. I really like them. Yeah, it's amazing, and it's not even that good of graphics. I think maybe it's just me, but the mechanisms. Whew, I really want to get a board game version of this now.
Yeah. Well, my favorite bit of the graphics is when you're fighting the birds and then you knock them out and they're stunned, and so then they lay flat, and then all of a sudden one of them just kind of lifts its one head up for a second. That's it.
And then you knock them down again.
He just kind of he's like the layers. He just kind of looks up at you like, yeah. But yeah, it feels very card gamey, but it doesn't exist in the real world. That's kind of weird.
It could because you upgrade those cards, so they upgrade during the course of the game.
Yeah, it's just too. Yeah, it's just easier in digital form.
I don't mind that. I mean, it reminds me. It's not like Hearthstone per se, but I like the fact that there is board games that exist only in digital form. I think that's fine.
I like it too. I would use sometimes when I'd find out, there's certain games I hadn't played, I would test them out in their digital form if they had a digital form. Just a way to learn the rules and get some games on my belt, because I'm the person in my group who has to teach the new game. I'm usually the host. So it's all right, here's a new game to try. And, you have to understand the game better when you have to teach it. And so just that was an easy way to kind of learn games.
Of course, everyone asks us too, have you ever taken games to the set and played games between scenes? And if so, what games?
I've taken quite a few games to set at different times. 6 Nymph I would take the set. Actually, my version at the time was Tag 6. I've taken my iPad with Ticket to Ride on it, or what was
Small World, Forbidden Island, Forbidden Desert, Carcassonne.
I was just thinking about the one with the penguins grabbing the fish. Hey, that's my fish. Yeah. And it's just because that's always shocking when the orcas come up and eat the penguins. There's a bunch I would try. I had on Lost, I purchased a very small collapsible table that I'd be able to set up, and it could travel in this little bag, and then you would turn on and you unroll the top. And we did that for a while, but the beach was too windy to do
Yeah.
that. So then we had to kind of find other scenarios. I've taken Love Letter. Again, it's always like small box things.
Yeah, I found playing games outside is just a pain in the neck, period.
Can be.
Even on a day that you think isn't that windy, any gust of anything will move cards.
It's right now with everyone kind of secluded in their own houses. There was like some friends that I put together. I essentially grabbed games that I felt would play well over like Zoom, and kind of divided half the cards and created a whole box to then deliver to them and be like, just hold on to these. And at some point when we're chatting in Zoom, we'll be like, all right, find all the cards for Raffle. And then we would, find a way to play over this. And we just kind of, and that's been pretty fun. It's kind of fun. I think playing Paranormal Detective this way was our most ambitious. It was a lot of like where you had to like make the drawing with the ropes and set it up on the table and then take like a picture of it and then text it to them. Oh, we play a lot of crosstalk, and it's just sending the secret message as a text.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that game didn't really make a big splash, but I could see that would work pretty well online. I never thought about that. Crosstalk was made by the same folks who made Stockpile.
Okay.
Alrighty, someone asks, is board gaming a popular hobby in the acting business? I don't know if it's any more than anywhere else, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think the people I know who play board games are kind of few and far between. I mean, there are people who be like, oh, they're willing to play, or they'll be like, yeah, I like playing games, and then they only play Cards Against Humanity or Secret Hitler. And I'm like, oh, okay. I get it. So you skew your gaming differently with them.
Sure. I used to be of the mindset, I meet anybody and they'd say, I don't play board games. And I would think, I will get you to play board games. I don't think that anymore. I think if someone's like, I'm not that big in board games, I'm like, all right, no worries. Because I wouldn't want someone to be constantly trying to get me to do a hobby I wasn't interested in. Like, I have no desire to go hunting at all. I know hunters. Right. They have a good time doing it. I wouldn't want them to consistently be pushing me to go hunt.
Yeah, but I do think a lot of people hunting is a bigger extreme. I think than
well, maybe fishing or something like forget any morality against it, but something that I'm just not interested in, like golf. I'm not interested in golf at all. But people tell me, they're like, you would love it. I'm like, well, yeah, I don't think I would.
Yeah, golf involves a certain pathology in the obsession of it, I think. The people who love it, they love it because they become obsessed with it. And it's just that we get obsessed about other things.
As I say, so maybe people could say that about us with board games.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, slay the Spire. That's right. It's just like you just gotta, you just gotta be like, damn, I should have paid attention to my health. It's that kind of thing. Or just when you sit and when you catch yourself being like, you know what, next time I'm going to try that. Whenever that game gets to the table again, I'm going to try that. That's what golfers get. It's just a different game.
All right, how many countries have you visited and played games in?
I mean, does that count just me playing with the people I traveled with?
Yeah, sure. I think that's legit.
Well, I definitely played games in Chile when I was there a couple years ago. In Spain, I shot a movie there, and they hired someone to be my assistant. And so during downtime, we played games a lot. That might be it as far as foreign countries.
Ooh, I'm winning then. I got
Yeah,
Korea,
sure.
and I played in Vietnam and China and Japan and Thailand and Germany, of course, and England. Sorry, Great Britain. I'm still confused what to call it.
Yeah,
And maybe if you count some of the little islands in the Caribbean on our cruise. The cruise ship
oh,
is technically not the United States when you're on it. I think it's like a,
right.
what do they call it? Uh, Something like international conveyance, I believe is the
Okay.
word for it. Does that count?
Sure, why not? I think sometimes like it's great because like when you go to like a game store in like a foreign country and you're like looking, oh, this game looks interesting. What's this? And you're like, oh, maybe I'll buy this. My biggest fear is that I'll buy a game there and then realize that, oh no, this is just like a Spanish translation of an American game, or some like, ah, damn, this was a domestic game that was imported. Ah, damn it.
But sure,
Because I
but
try and
sometimes that's
find
cool.
something.
It's cool to have something like that sometimes.
I would want to find local, the ones that are like there, like I'll go like, hey, are there any games that are made here that are designed by the people here and stuff to kind of just to try out and see what they're coming up with over there.
Who are some of your favorite board game designers?
You know, I I'm trying to recognize designers when I like a game, but don't have full retention as to know names. Like I can recognize names when I hear it, but to just pull a name out of my brain, I'm not quite there yet.
Well, I already asked this off air, but someone asked the same thing, and it's going to happen because someone wants to know what's with the deal with all those masks behind you.
Well, I like I'm a fan of masks, especially ape masks. I like Halloween, and I mean, if you look, this is my in my office. It's kind of like I kind of started doing kind of my redecorations, kind of like every day is Halloween in here, and masks are part of it. The whole that the smell of a latex mask to me is what Halloween smells like. And so when I come in here and it smells like a pop-up Halloween store because of all that latex, it just brings me joy.
You know what, though? I love the latex masks. I have quite a few of them. They are hard to wear for a long period of time.
Some can be. Well, I have a couple masks that are really like people who design masks. They'll do a verse of a mask that is just for display. It's not really supposed to be worn, and they'll pour the latex a lot thicker, and those get much more harder to wear. But every mask I get, I got to put it on, even if it's just for 5 minutes, just because I bought a mask and I want to look at myself in the mirror in it. But yeah, I mean, it's just they're just fun. I just
I
like
chase
this.
my kids around the house in them sometime, but I found that it gets hot pretty quickly, and I have no sense of peripheral vision.
Yeah,
So if the
yeah.
kids
I
were
mean,
smart, they can attack you, which I find happens when you get hit with a bat on the side.
okay, maybe. I used to sometimes I put on the mask and see what my dog's reaction is. Kind of see if they'll recognize
Ooh, I
me
haven't done
by
that
my
yet.
smell, or they'll just bark at me because I look like a stranger.
Well, that's interesting. I haven't thought. All right, I probably shouldn't mess with my dog too much. Still puppy. Um, I probably. Well,
Well,
whatever.
a puppy hasn't been hardened to life enough to be like they might just think that you're just another person to go and play with and meet.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yes, I also played games in Iceland. That's right. Iceland doesn't feel like a foreign country to me. How's that?
Okay.
Um, if you could only eat one meat for the rest of your life, what would it be? Pork, beef, or chicken?
I'm
And
vegetarian.
why? Oh, and I'm gonna say also, Brent, that I only eat. It would be fish for me. So, all right. Sorry, that was very disappointing answers. All righty. Uh, let's see here. People are happy with your orange wall here. So, yeah,
I think the
the
color is actually called jack-o'-lantern.
really. Do you know that you
Yeah.
can buy your own color? I did not know this till last year. So, like,
What
there's
do you-
all these shades of colors that you can buy, but you can buy one. I don't know exactly how it works, but it's several $1,000s. A board game company told me because they were considering buying a color, name it after the board game company. But it would only take like a minuscule change to make it slightly different, and you don't have to pay that for their color. I was like, oh, I'm gonna get Dice Tower Blue, and then realized how much money it was, and explaining to my wife that I spent money on buying a color that no one cared about as mostly a vanity project.
It's like adopting a star.
Right. That's your star
Yeah, that
of
was yours.
the countless stars out there.
There's a thing like when I got married in Ireland a year ago, and one of the things that was we made care packages for people, and we bought a ton of umbrellas because each care package had an umbrella, it had like a little thing of tissues, it was all this stuff, wedding things you might want to use for a wedding, and because we spent so much money in this one like gift shop, you'd earn prizes when you spend a certain amount of money, and there's a thing that people would get little pieces of Irish land, and it had like a little scroll that had like that you own this land and a little picture of where it is, and it's only like maybe like a square foot in this piece of Ireland that you own.
Well, I read a story about a guy who tried to do that at some point where they were selling inches or something like that. And so he was buying them from other people, trying to get enough to make his own tiny nation. But I don't know how that turned out. Jerry says his wife wants to know what your favorite Disney movie is.
I haven't seen it in a while, but I feel okay. I've narrowed it down to 3 now. My first thing I wanted to say was Jungle Book.
That's a good one.
I liked the scribbliness in the animation, and I was always a fan of the songs. I've always been partial to Dumbo, mainly for the whole premise that he didn't need he believed in that feather so long, and he didn't really need that feather. And I always use that as an analogy. Sometimes people like, you think you need that feather, but you can fly without that feather. And Pinocchio is just a classic.
You picked old ones. Like those are some of the old. Well, not Jungle Book is not, but the other two are.
Jungle Book's pretty old. Oh, you mean? Oh, well, yeah.
The other two were some of the first ones made.
Like 40s. Yeah. It's not like.
So how do you feel about roll and write games and all the various evolutions of them?
I've only dabbled in roll and writes. I like the Railroad Inc. is enjoyable. Also just because there's the levels of destruction that go along with it, of like meteors or lava flows and things like that, is entertaining. I've purchased Welcome to. I haven't tried it yet. I actually purchased it out of an error where I had thought that I was getting the game, and instead I had ordered a bunch of sheets for it. And so I was like, now I have all these Welcome to sheets, so I guess I better buy the game now to use these sheets up. So now I own it. I hear it's a good game. I just haven't tried it yet.
Someone here says they have real estate on the moon. And they say you got to love when someone spends money on a gift for you that's completely worthless. Thank you. That's true, though, right? They always show the ad for the stars. They show the person. They're like, that's the best gift you could have got. I'm like, no, I'd rather have a sandwich. Give me a star. All right, who's your favorite Marvel character?
Incredible Hulk.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. My, I mean, that's just because I loved the show when I was a kid,
Oh
and
yeah,
so
yeah. Okay, I did
I'm
like that show.
still I'm still partial to just the Hulk design. The Hulk also, in many ways, falls into a category of the that kind of freak that and just it's like the way you find when I identify with monsters growing up and watching movies like I had empathy for King Kong or the Hunchback of Notre Dame or the Frankenstein monster and the Hulk in a way kind of fits that niche in many ways and so it's always had an appeal to me.
It's interesting that the Hulk they did the Hulk in the cinematic universe is a slightly different Hulk almost. I still like it, but then in the latest, the Thor third one, they kind of brought him around into that tragic, necessarily doesn't want to be the Hulk type thing.
Right. Yeah. I also liked Wolverine when he was brown. When the suit was brown and kind of like goldenrod. That era
right.
Wolverine is a big one for me.
Yeah, I guess Wolverine is just I feel like he's overused in the Marvel universe.
He is. He is. Like when someone had drawn a picture of Wolverine in his old brown outfit, and I was like, oh man, I forgot how much I liked that period of Wolverine. Because that was just like that was kind of around where I started reading Marvel. I started in DC with like the Teen Titans, and then you get introduced to Marvel, and you're like going, oh, this kind of has it tries to say a little more, it seems like, in a way.
Well, I was listening to there's a podcast I listened to called Business Wars, and they talk about two companies and going after each other, and they talked about Marvel versus DC, and they said during those years Marvel said we're going to try to develop strong character, and DC was more about Boy Scout saves a bunch of good people from heroes, and so they didn't do those deeper, grittier stories, and so that's why Marvel eventually won that war. That, and also they made smarter choices when it came to movies. So,
yeah, the movies definitely did something. It definitely set them apart, for sure.
Yeah, it's one of the few times where I don't
now
say
it's
the
all
book
Disney.
is better. Yeah, it's true. Well, we'll see what happens next. What's your favorite horror movie? Someone wants to know.
Okay. As far as the scariest movie is The Haunting from like 1960 or 63. That's the movie that scared me the most. And I still put it on and get scared. Like it's definitely like a movie that's like try to watch it at night kind of thing. And it's done very much with just sound effects and some voiceover stuff. There's not a lot of like, blood, any kind of like real murder. It's just really good at being spooky. I guess that's my favorite, but I'm huge into like the classic Universal movies too.
Alrighty, let's see. Well, someone asked right here on that. Then, have you played Horrified yet?
Yes, I did. The thing that I love the most about Horrified is all the supporting cast that you find. Like, oh look, there's a little Abbott and Costello.
Yes,
and
I enjoyed that.
All the different like supporting cast in it. That's very enjoyable.
Yeah, so I'm hoping they make an expansion for that actually and add in a couple more of the monsters. I haven't heard from them yet or not. Okay, people are still talking about buying stars. Do you ever back games on Kickstarter?
Yeah.
So what makes you do that? What's your go-to? How do you decide which one's to back?
Usually I hear about it from something like Dice Tower or
well, those guys don't know what they're talking about.
Shut Up, Sit Down, or someone will talk about something and I'm like, oh, that seems intriguing. Sometimes there'll be suggestions to things, and if the theme leads me in, maybe, or if it's I'm still on an email list for because I backed something else. If it's intriguing, I might back there. But I've had a few Kickstarter burns that definitely have made me kind of gun shy. There's you start kind of narrowing down the companies you trust in some ways. Just because there's some that you go, oh, these people are constantly putting stuff out, so I'm pretty sure that this is going to fund and come out. And then you decide, like, okay, now if I decide I want this, do I want all the extra things that keep showing up as it starts unlocking stuff? And it's like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know when I'm going to get to all the bits of Rising Sun that I got.
It is interesting because there are some games that come out, and I'm wondering if anyone ever plays with all the stuff that comes out for them.
Right.
Although I will say I played the new Marvel United from Command, so I somehow got a copy from Walmart. And that one is one I think that all that extra stuff I might actually play because the villains all play so differently. And so the game's like 30 minutes, so I can knock out a bunch of them.
Yeah, I'm pretty into base games a lot. That I try and get my full run of the base game before I even consider expanding to something else. I feel like the base game's solid enough that I'll get plenty of hours out of it, and it's just my game group is not very hardcore as far as gamers go. I challenge them as much as I can, and we do find some things that like let's dig into this, and like they could handle Blood Rage, so I was like, great, because that's good and meaty and chewy and really kind of it has good feelings when you play it, and so just kind of like finding that stuff, and then you go, okay, but the Blood Rage, what actually got me an expansion of Blood Rage was the fact that it was limited to 4 players, and we have 5 people in our group. So it was like, all right, so we gotta bring in the new faction, and yeah, I mean, I that's mainly it. I definitely am into holding off on anything that expansion, so I'm not in a rush to get a game that immediately comes with an expansion as part of its base.
I agree on that. I like expansions, but I don't get excited about them before I even play the base game.
Right. I want to get the full fulfillment of the base game first. And then I'm like, all right, this game is fun. I love it every time we break it out. And here's something of this game that's new to discover if we open this other box. That I like. But it has to get to a certain point of playing the other game.
All right. Someone here asked, how do you store... Thanos, sorry, so I guess we have to answer him. How do you store your game boxes, horizontally or vertically?
Horizontally.
So I do mine vertically because it's easier to pull them off the shelf. Horizontally, you have to like lift up another box before they come.
I see. That is very smart, but I don't.
That didn't make me feel smart.
I don't know if where my games are. I have some games that are a really wide footprint, and it's easier if they. I don't know. That's just kind of how it is, and it's a lot of like kind of like shake and shuffle and shake and yank to get the game out sometimes. But that's just how I'm used to doing it. I haven't. I don't know. I'm not ready to redo.
That actually does. As a kid, though, most of those games couldn't be stored any other way. Those long, flat ones, you had to put horizontally.
I have a few games that are like those old games that were designed to look like books on the shelf.
Oh yeah.
That all those like kind of, and so those, I think I stored vertically, just because they're boxed that way, where it's like a box within a box that slides. Yeah, I just do mine horizontally. I don't know what's the consensus on that for people.
Oh, it's definitely mixed. You know, thinking about that, it really brings back nostalgia. When I was a kid, all our games were in a closet, and when I went to other people's houses, games were often in a closet. But nowadays, I don't think people store them often in closets. It's on bookshelves.
Right, and I don't know. My concern about the the components not staying in the inserts when it's tipped on its end. That's my main issue.
That's true. I just get rid of the inserts. There's the one thing I found. I was just putting an insert together yesterday where I was putting the pieces in, and where you have to put the coins in the little slots, and there's like room for 20 coins, and you have to put them in there one at a time. And I hate that. I really do.
Yeah, most vacuum form inserts are disappointing. But I started buying and then like one part of the things that I kind of like learning is that you're obsessed or into a hobby when you start crafting for it. It's like when we had someone had come up with when I like the Dixit when you can vote with the little chips, the little cardboard squares.
Right.
And then later they had the little voting pegboard.
That was not,
which
that
I
didn't
was
work
not
very
as
well.
Wasn't crazy about, because I like the secret ballot essentially, or like just being able to lay the tiles down. And so someone had like designed a version that you could play with the tiles, but for I don't know, it was like 12 players.
Ooh.
So we went. What?
I said, ooh, I want that.
Oh, yeah. So it was like so you could have all the bunch of little rabbits from the one that came with a little pegboard, but then everyone's got the little tiles to vote. Or maybe it was 9. Maybe I'm over some. I don't know. I'll have to look it up. And so then there was a whole trip to like Kinko's and getting things printed on cardstock and gluing cardstock together so it got thick enough to be the full size chip, and then chopping it up, and we're just sitting there just working their paper cutter down to donuts, just getting, and then we got home and did a whole mess of gluing of all the pieces together. And I was just kind of like, we must really be dedicated to this game to do this kind of crafting. And the same thing is like when you build your own foam core insert and you're not good at it and you're spilling glue and your walls don't quite work necessarily, but you're just kind of measuring it and being like, okay, so we need to do a thing here to hold this. And then there's foam core inserts that I bought and just kind of like stealing ideas from there and being like, oh, they kind of cut it at an angle so you can still flip your finger in there and lift the cards out. And, little by little, you get better at it. And that just kind of proves to me like I really like the game when I'm willing to craft for it.
Then I don't like many games, but I do craft occasionally. Alrighty, well, thanks for showing up today for the Daily Chat. Before we go, is there anything you wanted to tell people to push or talk about?
No, I mean, not really. I have a few things on Netflix that have gotten some attention. I show up in The Wrong Missy. I have one scene. I have a movie called Nobody Knows I'm Here, which is the movie I did in Chile. If you watch it, try to watch it in Spanish. A lot of people have a default dubbed English version that's not actually my voice in it. And then I had a movie I did in Canada a long time ago. These are all the places that I played games in, actually. It was when I was shooting these things, called The Healer, which surprisingly showed up on the top 10 about a month ago on Netflix out of the blue. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. One of the benefits of being at home is that they're watching a lot of Netflix.
That is true. I haven't heard of this. Nobody Knows I'm Here. I'll give it a whirl, and I'll watch it in French, right? No, Spanish. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for coming on. We're really glad. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Don't forget, we do a daily chat every night at 9 p.m., so we'll be back tomorrow night. I don't know who the guest is. And there's more live stuff coming your way tomorrow, folks, and more videos and reviews. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm Jorge Garcia.
And you've been watching The Dice Tower.